All right, so we're going to talk about solving equations. This is a little bit of a review from your 7th grade. We're going to start out with one-step equations. There's two different type of one-step equations where we're going to talk about our adding and subtracting and our multiplying and dividing. We're going to start out with solving equations with addition. When we look at addition, we really are actually going to do the opposite of addition, and we're going to subtract, because what we're trying to do is ultimately get that variable by itself. When we're doing that, that means that we're trying to move the number over to the other side of the equal sign. You're only going to do the opposite when you're not doing it on the same side of the equal sign. So in this case, y plus 6 equals 9. I want to find out what y is. For me to find out what y is, I'm going to move this 6 to the other side. In order to do that, I'm going to do the opposite operation. Opposite of addition is subtraction. So we're going to say minus 6 minus 6. You're going to bring down your y. 6 minus 6 is 0, so we can cancel him out. And then I'm going to solve. 9 minus 6 is 3. So your final answer is 3. 3 plus 6 is 9. All right, let's go to number 2. In order for me to solve for x, I'm going to do the opposite operation. Instead of adding 3, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Cancel my my 3's. 3 minus 3 is 0. Bring down that x. 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. Again, please circle, square, or highlight your answer. That helps out a lot for Mrs. Mutter. All right, let's look at number 3. It's kind of out of focus. I'm going to see what's going on here. That looks a little better. Not really. Okay, the next one we're looking at, sorry about that, we're going to, all they did was flip the equation, no big deal. I want to get this 4 away from the a. In order for me to do that, opposite operation is subtracting 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Bring down your a. And then if you notice, I have negative and a negative. This is really, you're going to combine these two, and it's going to keep that negative sign. So bring down the negative and combine 3 and 4, which comes out to 7. So my answer is negative 7 is A. My last one, they just flipped the variable and the number. That's not a big deal. If you know there's no negative here, you can write a little positive. The opposite of positive is negative, so we're going to subtract 14 from both sides. Bring down your m. 20 minus 14 is 6. Okay? Let's look at this word problem. The sum of a number and 3 is negative 2. So the word sum is add. The word number means that we're talking about a variable. In this case, guys, you can pick any letter or variable that you want. I'm going to use x and 3. So they're saying that x plus 3 equals, the word is, negative 2. So we're going to write it out. X plus 3 equals negative 2. I want you to solve that. So I'm going to say x plus 3 equals negative 2. Subtract 3 from both sides. 3 minus 3 is 0. So x is equal to a negative 5. All right. So we talked about addition. Let's talk about subtraction. So if we did the opposite with addition, what are we going to do with subtraction? The opposite. Opposite of subtract is to add. In this case, we're going to get that variable by itself. In order for the negative 2 to go to the other side of the equal sign, we're going to add 2 to both sides. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so x equals 3. Let's look at the next one, number 7. In order for me to get y by itself, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Negative 3 plus 3 cancels, so y equals 7. The next one, number 8, r minus 4 equals negative 2. In order for me to solve for r, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Bring down your r. Negative 4 plus 4, we cancel because that is 0. Negative 2 plus 4, opposites. So this is actually a positive 2. You are subtracting the two numbers. The next one, all they did was flip this on us. It does not matter. So that means that I'm going to move that negative 8 over to the negative 9. In order for us to do that, we're going to add 8. Again, you're doing the opposite. Negative 9 plus 8 is a negative 1 equals, and in this case, that's a Q. All right, let's look at number 10. If you decrease, that word decrease means to subtract a number. Remember, we talked about that before. That means a variable. We'll use x by 4. The result is, which equals negative 5. So x minus 4 equals negative 5. Let's solve. They said find the number. X minus 4 equals negative 5. In order for me to get x by itself, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Bring down your x. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Negative 5 plus 4 is a negative 1. All right, so negative 1 minus 4 equals a negative 5. All right, let's go on to our multiplying and dividing. So we just talked about solving equations with one step, and we were adding and subtracting. Now let's go ahead and flip to the multiply divide section. Like adding and subtracting, we did the opposite. Same thing goes for multiplying and dividing. When I see here that it's saying 4z, which means 4 times z, and I want to get z by himself, I need to move that 4 over to the other side of the equal sign. For me to do that, because this is multiplication, I'm going to do the opposite operation. Opposite is to divide. So we're going to divide 4 by both sides. 4 divided by 4 is a 1, so now I can just cancel those and write z. Bring down your equal sign, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 equals z. All right, let's go to number 2. In order for me to get g by himself, it says negative 8 times g equals 24. I'm going to do the opposite of multiply and divide negative 8 by both sides. Negative 8 divided by negative 8 is a positive 1. Cancel that and just write g. And 24 divided by negative 8 is a negative 3. G equals negative 3. All right, the next one. They just kind of flip things on me, just like they did number 1. Doesn't matter, still same concept. I want to get e by himself, so I'm going to divide negative 6 by both sides. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is a positive 1, so we just bring down the e. And 30 divided by negative 6 is a negative 5. When you're dividing or multiplying a negative and a positive, it will stay negative. All right. Last one, number 4, negative 9h equals negative 72. We're going to divide negative 9 by both sides. A negative and a negative makes a positive 1. And a negative 72 divided by a negative 9 gives me a positive 8. Okay. Last here, we're going to talk about the product. That's another word for multiply. Okay, and you can also put a little x here for multiply of a number. That means variable. In this case, because we use the x for multiply, let's go ahead and use y for a variable. And 5 is, which is equals negative 35. So I wouldn't write y5. I'm going to write 5y equals negative 35. I want to now find the number. I need to find what that number or variable is. So I'm going to divide 5 by both sides. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so now it's just 1y or y. Negative 35 divided by 5 is a negative 7. All right, we talked about multiplication, which the opposite was to divide. Now let's talk about division. And the opposite of division is to multiply. All right, So if we look at number 6, I'm going to give you an explanation of how they're doing this. They have x over 4 equals 7. The idea to get your denominator away from x is meaning to multiply 4 over 1 by both sides, okay? 4, if you want to cross multiply, that's 4x over 4. You can cancel these out and just write x. This is saying 7 over 1 times 4 over 1, which would give you a 28 over 1, which is really just 28. The easier way for this to happen is all you need to do is multiply 4 by both sides. You know these 4's canceled out, all right? So you bring down x, and then 7 times 4 is 28. All right, let's look at number 7. In order for me to get m by himself, I'm going to multiply that negative 6 by both sides. Negative 6 and negative 6 cancel on the left. Bring down m. 6 times negative 6 is a negative 36. Next one, we're going to multiply that 2 to get r by himself. They cancel out. R equals, or 2 times negative 12 is a negative 24 equals r. Last one, multiply that negative 3 by both sides. They cancel, bring down your g, and negative 3 times a negative 15 gives me a positive 45. Let's look at our number sentence. Quotient, the quotient. Quotient means to divide. So you can put a little division symbol of a number. Let's stick with what we were talking about up above. We'll stick with that variable y. And negative 4 is, which is equals 5. All right, so we're going to say y over negative 4 equals 5. Multiply negative 4 by both sides to get y by itself, and y is equal to negative 20. Now that we talked about one step, we're going to move on to 2-step. Check out the next video.